lot of great sounds and songs on this album, but is this their best album? A lot of people think so, including some members of the band. For me, I'm not really sure, and I have some reasons why. There is a perfect storm kind of quality to this album, with some of the best songwriting this band or any band ever did, and playing that shows the holy triumvirate at the very top of their game. Is it their best album though? For me, I'm not sure. Only because I'm not sure what the best Rush album is. For me, my favorite album is Exit Stage Left. But is that their best album? I'd have a hard time saying so. But coming on the heels of the amazing Transitional Permanent Waves, it's incredible that a band can hit you with like a 1-2 punch like this. It's just unreal. So a lot of the songs on Moving Pictures I first heard on Exit Stage Left, and because I was buying things out of sequence, I bought Moving Pictures in like 1984 after I'd already purchased Grace Under Pressure, and I bought it on cassette because we loved being able to run around with our Walkmans. So yeah, I had already heard Red Barchetta, YYZ, and Tom Sawyer off Exit Stage Left. So I had a frame of reference for those songs, but the sound of this album was amazing. So immediate, so well recorded. Band was just at the top of their game. So, the songs. How many hours and days could we go on with how many videos on these songs? We could deep dive into this album, or we could deep dive into just one song. Obviously, starting with one of their biggest hits, Tom Sawyer, a team up lyrically with Pi Dubois. Did anyone out there see Max Webster open for Rush? I was too young to see it. But I have a lot of love for Max Webster too. Kim Mitchell, great songwriting, guitar playing, singing. That's a whole other video though. But Tom Sawyer was just a really unusual song for Rush if you'd come up with them through Hemispheres, Permanent Waves. This incredible growly synth and this super lean rhythm by Neil Peart. Unreal. Just unlike anything I can recall hearing them do before. Now, having heard it on Exit first, it kind of hit me differently. When I got my Moving Pictures cassette, I was immediately blown away by how hard that song actually hit. And then Red Barchetta kind of carries on with the band's incredible penchant for dystopian prog, reduced down into one concise song. And someone on an earlier video had suggested that while I thought 2112 needed to be made into a movie, Red Barchetta could easily be made into a movie or of some sort too. So here's some concept art. So yeah, one of these great riffs in the middle of Red Barchetta was really approachable to me as a 14-year-old on guitar, but still cataclysmic in its heaviness. Then you get to YYZ, which I already heard on Exit with an extended drum solo. And I think it was a few years before I really realized what was being done there in terms of the Morse code, Toronto-based airport kind of thematic quality that had infused the whole song. But there are such great twists to that song. I always felt like Alex's solo in there. Following these extended excursions by Neil and Geddy, that solo of Alex's had this real Middle Eastern quality to it. And you could start to hear just a bit of the Alan Holdsworth elements that he was kind of drawn to.
Alan Holdsworth, maybe a little bit earlier, but through that period as well. He was such a fantastic lyrical player. He played like a sax player, and I know he played sax as well, but all his phrasing was like that.
By the time we get to Limelight, which Neil obviously felt probably pretty strongly about, having come to terms with his measure of fame, the Alex Lifeson solo there, and I know I tend to slant off in the direction of Alex, but I am a guitar player, really saw the Alan Holdsworth influence on that song.
You know, I'll play something. So it's not so much of the It's just a little subtler thing, and it's a downward vibrato, so it's different from, you know, playing the typical.
So the last live show that I saw was Time Machine, and I got to see all of Moving Pictures in its entirety. I was really struck, and I'd always loved this song. I was really struck by how great a live piece the Camera Eye was in that particular setting. I saw it at the Gorge in George, Washington, last show of the tour. Just ferocious playing and such a great cross-section of cinematic elements that Rush was so great at incorporating.
I was reading as widely to like John Dos Passos and John Steinbeck, but I can't say that they were a huge influence on lyric writing per se, because it's such a different, the craft of it. So you're dealing on a whole other canvas. And yes, I was learning from all of those writers about life and about the power of words.
So when I was a kid and Neil Peart mentioned John Dos Passos, I went to the junior high library, took out a book, flipped open a page, and started reading. And I swear, just that page alone had some of the best lines I've ever heard. I mean, every single line was like a work of art. It was just unreal. And I know for a lot of us, Rush was kind of a gateway drug to insanely great literature and fantastic authors by the dozen. I'll put a link to John Dos Passos in the description down below for those who are interested. Obviously, Witch Hunt, I've heard or read in interviews that was going to just be a production number that they never planned on playing live. But live, the thing kicked some serious ass. Amazing track with a message that's always really struck with me. Then we round things out with Vital Signs. I mean, there is no filler on this album. And really, there aren't too many Rush albums where you go, well, that's kind of filler. Certainly not in Moving Pictures. Certainly not. Vital Signs, you start to hear kind of an odd take on reggae influences, which I didn't really recognize until later. And it's funny, if you explore some of those lyrics, they still feel kind of vital even today. The idea of sort of crossing over from physicality into kind of a quasi-digital realm of processing information for humans, which is what I took out of it. So once again, Hugh Syme at the helm for graphic design and layout. Another brilliant wordplay concept by Hugh. And recorded at the studio where they did some of their finest work in such a cool setting. For me, it just really captured the best of that kind of, it wasn't really early Rush sound, but it was a really kind of streamlined Rush sound. We hadn't kind of evolved into all the keyboard elements yet. There were just enough in there to kind of give you a punch or a color or a pad here and there. Amazing production by Brune. I was not able to see that tour. I was too young. For those of you who saw it, maybe you can weigh in here and let us know how it was. I had one of my best friends give me a tour booklet, which is in storage somewhere, but it's one of my prized possessions, stored and wrapped and protected from the elements. So is Moving Pictures Rush's best album? Again, for me, I'm not sure what Rush's best album is. My personal favorite album is Exit Stage Left, just because of the cross-section of material. And when I bought it, I was just a 13-year-old who was just blown away by this band that I had just gotten to know. But obviously, Moving Pictures is pretty fairly represented on that and future live albums, because it had some of their most powerful material and truly resonated with audiences, probably unlike any other album. So I know for a lot of you, it probably is their best work. And I believe for Geddy, it might be too. So Rush, Moving Pictures. At the very least, I know I'm among Rush fans, and this is certainly one of the greatest albums they ever produced. For my money, one of the best albums to ever come down the line by any band, with some of the best songwriting, playing, lyricism that has ever been laid to tape. That's going to do it for me for now. Talk to you soon.